If you think that remaining neutral and saying that I don't care about that issue, if you feel like that's not taking a side, I I don't know what to tell you. The only thing for evil to triumph is for good men to do nothing. As a centrist that refuses to take issues on social justice, that's what you're doing. Hello, welcome back to my channel. Last week, we discussed civility politics, and this week, I want to talk about something that is kind of along a similar vein, and that is this political concept of centrism. What does it mean to be a centrist? You might be thinking to yourself. A centrist in American politics is someone who is, like the name implies, in the center of what would be the left-right political divide, or between the Democrats and the Republicans, there's a group of people, such as like sometimes libertarians fall in this category, that are more along toward the middle of the political compass, or the Overton window, so to speak. Now, you might think to yourself, okay, so what does that mean about their political views? Are they liberal? Are they conservative? It's like, well, I mean, kind of. They're a lot of centrists, unfortunately, because it blends the closer you get toward the middle. A lot of centrists will claim to want such things as like social progress or whatever else, but they also claim that they want to have like low taxes or no taxes. Like I said, a lot of times it's almost like a word just to camouflage libertarianism. Now, somebody who says like they are actually really a centrist, what they generally present themselves as is somebody who thinks that both the left and the right has some good ideas, but neither side has all the solutions. So the Democrats have some good ideas and the Republicans have some good ideas. And the answer can never be just vote one party. The answer always has to be very nuanced, and it kind of has to be parsed out between the different political parties, and even then there's different spectrums on each one of these issues. So a centrist might have radically different ideas from each other on any issue, gun rights, etc., just like anybody of any other political distinction. Now, what my problem with centrism is this concept of fence sitting politically. So what does it mean to fence sit? So they can't make up their mind. They distrust the entire system, or they'll distrust either party to the extent where they'll say like, oh, well, I can't vote Democrats because I don't like X, Y, and Z that they do. I can't vote Republican. I don't like X, Y, and Z that they do. Or they pretend that if they stay neutral, or they claim neutrality in a political debate or discussion, that they don't have a position, that they didn't take a position. Just like I had previously made a video talking about atheism and why some atheists do the same thing. They play centrist politics. They act like they don't have any politics. And this is the same type of thing, unfortunately. So the issues with this, like what's the problem? What's the issue if just pretending that, you know, you are a political, like, I don't know, Switzerland? The problem is that there are some issues where there is not a neutral moral position. And I know that some people kind of like cringe when I say moral, but hear me out. What I'm saying is that on some issues of social justice, for instance, if you have one group of people that wants to oppress another, and this one group of people that are the oppressors are a lot stronger than the group that needs civil protections and needs liberty. All right, so they're trying to seize power, and they're saying, when we get this power, we are going to hurt these people. And then this group of people is asking everyone else that's in the room, hey, can you help stop these people? Because we are not strong enough to fight back. We're a minority group. We're tiny. These people have overwhelming power, influence, money, etc. Can you help vote protections for us? If you think that remaining neutral and saying that, oh, there's, you know, I don't have a position, I don't care about that issue, if you feel like that's not taking a side, I don't know what to tell you. Like, if you have the power, all you have to do is vote. Help vote against this oppressive force. if you are saying, no, I care so little about the situation, I care so little about you that I will not even vote to intervene on a clear oppression, then you have taken a side. Or at least the reason why a lot of us will say that centrism cuts to the conservative side is because it's the conservatives that are often trying to take rights from minority groups, trying to pass restrictions against minority groups. So the only one that benefits from political inaction is the oppressor in that type of situation. So if you have a much larger group that, it plans on enacting, all its power or whatever, then there is another group that's also large that's about equally matched with them. And if we just get enough votes, we can kind of like tip the scales toward social justice or liberty. And you are saying, no, I will not even vote to, stop these people from oppressing you. That is taking a side. You're still benefiting that other person. It's like if it would take you minimal effort, almost negligible, because you're probably going to exercise your right to vote anyway. And if you're not voting, then it's very possible that you're already kind of like falling into this trap of either one being like a useful idiot where you might vote in a way that would harm the establishment. So you're so disenfranchised, you don't want to vote, or you feel like there's no help in getting any, there's no hope in getting help for people like you. So you're like, oh, I'm not going to vote because it doesn't matter. Both parties are going to do the same thing. That's not true. Of the two parties, like one of them is demonstrably worse for minorities than the other one. Putting aside all the fiscal politics, everything else being even, if we just look at the metrics of like how social issues manifest, the right is definitely worse for women, for people of color, for immigrants, for LGBT people in every single way. And if you basically are taking the position that you don't really care about politics and you don't really want to get involved with politics, then I would say, okay, well, could you at least say that you care about some of your fellow citizens, that you at least care about harm reduction to other people? So if that's, even if that was like of like a single issue voting, if those were the issues that you were concerned about, I would think that that's a bit more understandable than claim that you have some type of like morally neutral position while you will not do anything to intervene to stop like a group of people that are clearly like malevolent against another. And whether you look at it as like a religious standpoint, in like Proverbs, where there's the, they say like the only thing for evil to triumph is for good men to do nothing. That's what you're, as a centrist that refuses to take issues on social justice, that's what you're doing. You're saying like, well, yeah, those are the bad people that are wanting to hurt this other group of people that hasn't done anything to them. They're innocent people. But I'm not going to do anything to stop them. And then when we point that out to you, centrists will get offended and say, oh, that's not fair. And you're being a woke scold and you're, demanding that I'm like, no, I'm saying that you should use you should exercise the minimal amount of civil liberty that you feel like doing to help your fellow citizens. I'm saying that there are oppressed groups of people that need your help. And even if you don't want to be an activist, you don't want to do any of the other stuff, I understand all of that. But in cases where it is on the ballot to vote, I don't see how you could look at inaction as being anything other than empowering, or at least not, you're stepping out of the way to allow one group of people to harm another group of people. That to me ends up being like, I think that there is a moral responsibility there. And even if you disagree with me about morality or you don't understand like how that could be, just like flip the situation around. Imagine if there's some large party that's gathering political power and they are making it known that it's their goal to eradicate people like you, or to like strip your rights away, to make your life miserable, to dissolve your marriages, to deny you marriage. Like there's to take your kids or deny you, the ability to adopt children. Like just look at our communities and what their goals are and what they're trying to do to us. And then if that was being done to you, to say if you were looking around at all of us and all we had to do was show up on like a voting day and cast a ballot, and that would stop all of this from happening to you. And you say like, hey, like, could you please, even if you don't vote for anything else, can you just go and vote against the people that are trying to do this to me? If we were to like just sit back and say, oh no, I'm not going to do that because I'm neutral. I'm morally neutral. This is a neutral position. I just don't care about politics. I mean, like at some point, it's like, no, that person is like basically just doesn't give a crap about other people. And all they care about is their own pet political issues. Like they care more about like where tax money is spent than they care about their fellow citizens. And that's the way that it always is with centrists. They basically end up putting themselves in a situation where they can't vote for either party because they're afraid that that's taking a side where their inaction is also going to help one side or the other. Somebody's going to get elected. Somebody is going to get in office. Somebody's going to appoint Supreme Court judges. Somebody's going to be in charge of setting up the federal government, transportation, secretaries of defense. Like all of these things are going to be decided by someone. Centrism to me is a failure of an ideology. Centrism is the result of some people that are either one, negligent in their civil duties where they just don't care about being politically active, or these are people that end up trying to play this both sides game. And you hear them say both sides all the time. Like, oh, Democrats did these bad things and Republicans did these bad things. And they basically are using like a hasty generalization fallacy, or they'll say, oh, if I can't get this perfect political solution, and if this party is doing anything else that I don't like, or they don't do enough, then they fall into this nirvana fallacy where they're saying, oh, well, the Democrats didn't fix everything, therefore it's not worth voting for them. It's like, excuse me, that the Democrats are not stripping away the rights of minorities. The Democrats are not trying to actively harm minority communities. It's like, whereas the Republican Party explicitly has it as part of their platform now that they want to harm minority communities, or at least the policies that they advocate for will absolutely have those results. So that's my thoughts on centrism, why I think centrism as an ideology kind of falls apart, why I think it's kind of almost politically lazy, if I'm being honest. And I hope if you are a centrist, this doesn't offend you enough that you will not consider some of the things that I've said. And if you do reconsider it, or you can tweet at me if you want to talk about it. And if you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.
Tell me pretty lies, look me in the face, tell me that you love me, even if it's fake.